welcome you here to focus on Liberia. Welcome, welcome, and welcome wherever you are. Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Anthony Sie, and I am joined today by our West African correspondent, Mr. Edward Amara, based in Freetown, Sierra Leone, and we are doing a special report on Africa, especially West Africa. Welcome to the broadcast. Please do us that usual favor by hitting that share button. Again, we are on a special report on Africa, and our emphasis here is going to be on West Africa. As you can look below in the blue section of the screen, we are looking at the coup d'etat that has just taken place in Mali. We will give a report on that, give you details and updates on what is unfolding in that West African country. And stay in West Africa also. There are two third terms, sorry, now almost like in gear in the Ivory Coast and the Republic of Guinea. What is going on here in West Africa? All of these three top stories that we are bringing you to are taking place in West Africa, Malay, Guinea, and the Republic of Cote d'Ivoire. Should Africans even be seeking third term at this time? What is going on? Have we not have enough already? But first, we will be looking at the coup d'etat that has just taken place in Mali. We will give a special report. We will give you updates. And our man, Edward Amara, who joined me from Freetown, Sierra Leone, is here to break it all down for you. Let me now welcome our West African correspondent, Mr. Edward Amara. Edward, welcome to Focus on Liberia. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Especially staying in West Africa, in the Sahel region here, with everything that is going on, coup d'etat, the rainy season, COVID-19. Life is just very much interesting.
Very much interesting. So, how's your family doing before we get to this business? How's your family doing there?
We are all doing good. We are safe and sound. I mean the COVID-19 transgression, but we are still safe and sound.
All right, y'all, let's get down to business. Our audience have been waiting for this special report. And folks, please share with us. You stay with us. You need to get all the updates on these stories that we are breaking here for you. Edward, so let's start with this coup d'etat that just took place in Mali. How it all started?
Thank you very much. In Mali have been a very interesting country in the part of West Africa. You know, Mali is a country that is accustomed to frequent coup d'etat. Since Mali got independent, this is the fourth coup d'etat that it had experienced. But the latest one started as a kind of protest, a protest that was actually against President Abubakar Keita, Ibrahim Abubakar Keita, popularly known as IBK. The protest all started in some part of the 5th of June this year. They said on the 5th of June, we have a kind of protest that was actually being jeered by the civilians. And on the 5th of June, the movement triggered a showdown with the government with unflaunting demands that the regime of Abubakar Keita has actually failed to solve the military problem into Mali. That is one. Mali is facing a kind of serious problem wherein they're having a kind of military operation against the Tuareg rebels. They have Islamic State Union attacking, and the economy is also draining down. So the civilians of Mali, they made necessary that President Ibrahim Abubakar Keita is no longer in control of the country. He has failed to stop the insurgent that he was being elected for. And at the same time, the economy is not doing well. COVID-19 crisis added on to it. So they made necessary that the president is no longer fit. He no longer has the mandate of the people. And the protest became very popular to an extent that international community have been actually calling in to ensure that they keep calm over the situation and maintain, because especially now we are facing COVID-19 situation where the dispensation of COVID-19 says that all of us should have distancing. But the people are crying down the government of Ibrahim Abubakar Keita that since it was elected, the insurgency did not have escalated. People are dying every day. France on our own part have intervened into the country, but everybody's just falling victim, and they can't keep having an ineffective president wherein what he's been elected for is no longer performing the situation. And in Mali, sometimes we see protests coming on different grounds. In some part of 2012, there was actually a protest in Mali that happened, but by then it was part of the military that felt aggrieved that by then, Amadou Toumani Touré, who was the president of Mali by then, they thought that Amadou Toumani Touré was no longer worth to control the prevailing circumstances in 2012 by then in Mali. So the military moved in, seized power, and forced the president to resign. We saw the regional bloc of ECOWAS, UN, and AU coming in to demand for the resignation of the president. And on the 5th of June now, and in 2020, we saw protests against President Abubakar Keita, popularly known as IBK. But this protest, as I said initially, has different dimensions because it is not a protest that is being organized against the military. It is not a protest that any opposition leader just got up one day and decided to form it. Rather, they call for protest and they seek the attention of civil activists, some social rebels, people who just believe that the good should be done, irrespective of the type of country that they are serving. And they demanded stingly that President Abubakar Keita should leave because on a daily basis, Malians are being killed. They are being attacked. COVID-19 is taking a toll on the economy of the country. Abubakar Keita is no longer worth to control the system. So they definitely asked the president to leave. And we saw Mohamed Iba Chambers, who was very known in Africa for such negotiation. We saw AU, others, they went into Mali to negotiate. The
Edward,
Malians said no. Yeah.
Edward, I just want to ask this question. So we heard about mutiny. So I mean, share with our audience when they say mutiny, what are they talking about and what did the mutiny
What?
do?
Okay, mutiny is just like when a subsection of the army decided to take control over the administration of a particular country, like ask the president to resign or the seize power. That was actually what happened on the 18th. But it all happened because President Ibrahim Abubakar Keita, popularly known as IBK, have serious issues with the country. And the entire populace of the country are actually demanding for his resignation. The regional bloc ECOWAS, when they are negotiated and the president decided to still continue being into power, they were actually calling him to resign for three main important things. One, they claim that the president no longer have control over the insurgents that is going on into the country. And they want somebody who is hard-handed, who can be able to control and maintain the safety of the Malian. Secondly, they claim that the economy of the country is actually down. And since President Abraham Abubakar Keita has taken over the country, he has actually been accused on several occasions of corruption. And they say that since the economy of the country is plundering down and the president is not able to maintain control over the country, it means he should also resign. And recently, there was another election conducted into the country. The opposition leaders and the voters of Mali accused the president of having rigged the election in the favor of his political party. And Mali has two types of elections. Sometimes they organize their election for the parliamentary system where they have the MPs of member of parliament of our representatives going to represent them without the presidential election. That was the exact election that was being conducted. So they accused the ruling party of having rigged the election in favor of politicians of MPs who are actually pro-government or who belong to the government party. And this issue was taken to the to the Supreme Court of the land. The Supreme Court declared in favor of the MPs that or the House of Representatives, if not the parliamentary members that belong to President Abubakar ruling party. The people said no, so they came on the street on the 5th of June to demand that those members of parliament should resign with immediate effect, and those who were actually elected, the opposition members, should actually be elected in. The president responded by saying that the election was actually free and fair. He's not going to ask any of those guys to leave. So when the protests continued to increase, the president went ahead and dismissed the Supreme Court judges that actually passed judgment in favor of the elected MPs and asked the MPs to resign their position and call for fresh election. The people said no. Now that we have noticed this, we do not only demand the leaving of those MPs, but you should also go.
Edward, what I want to ask you is that now that this has happened, is the opposition in support of the military takeover that just took place, or what the opposition saying about the military effort on the part of the military?
That is a very interesting question. In fact, the opposition is a kind of fragmented one in Mali.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to the election
Mm-hmm.
that actually took place in some part of May in Mali, the main opposition leader, Smaila, has been arrested,
Mm-hmm.
if not adopted by an unknown armed group into the country.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knows who adopted him. No ransom have been demanded, and nobody knows the whereabouts the man in question. And that particular election, he actually went on campaign in the northern part of Mali. He was adopted by a particular armed group.
Mm-hmm.
So when the election was conducted, the opposition cried foul and claimed that they won the election because of the MPs that they got into parliament were very few, and based on the return of vote, they believed that the election was being won. So the people came out on street. Everybody was actually in support of President Abubakar Keita to leave. That has been the demand.
That has been the demand.
The opposition supported the civilians of the country to protest. And throughout this time, the army have been taking a fence route, sitting down, watching our situations that are actually going on. The president responded, if that is how you are saying, then let the MPs go. So now they are actually supporting the military, but with the notion that the military is going to hand over power to a kind of block within the country. That is why immediately the military took over. Yesterday, they announced that they have formed a committee known as the Committee for the Salvation of the People of Mali. Now they are saying it is good. That is what we want. We had wanted for the president to go. Now that Abubakar Keita is no longer alive as a president of Mali, is alive as a person, but no longer living on the seat, he dissolved his parliament and even dissolved the cabinet and asked for everybody to resign. Now the opposition are saying they supported the coup, and that is what everybody wanted. Okay. But the military should hand over power, and the military now is claiming they have actually formed themselves. They have made a a committee that is headed by 3 men. They have the supreme leader now.
So, but Edward, from your report, are you sensing or are you getting this notion that the military might be not willing to turn power over to the civilian, or are they trying to organize an election that oppositions will be given the opportunity to participate to restore the country to democracy?
The interesting thing about Mali is that the military have never been far away from politics. They know the throne to the power, and they have been there on several occasions. Okay. And they have been, they actually support, any president that lost the support of the military means you are going. On several occasions, as I said, 4 coup d'etat have been staged into Mali successfully, and this have successfully been done by the military. But all actually have been organized by the military. But the difference between the latest 2020 coup is the fact that the coup did not start on the part of the military. Rather, it started on the part of the civilians. And the civilians are now saying, we organized our protest in the name of the president to leave. Now that he's gone, we are happy that you took over to ensure that there is political stability. And when they came in, they said they are not interested in political power. Rather, they are interested in political stability. Now they have taken the power. The power is with the military. But the opposition and the civilians are even asking the military to hand over power immediately, instead of forming a kind of council, calling it that the Committee for the Salvation of the People of Mali. Yes, granted, the people of Mali need to be salvated. If not, they need to be saved. However, they shouldn't be saved when power is in the hand of the military. They should be saved when power is in the hand of ordinary civilians.
And so what is the military saying now, Edward? What is the military saying at this time?
The military is not willing to give power immediately as demanded by the people. So that is why tomorrow there is a call for a national protest against the military. They are not protesting against the military because power is now currently into their hand. Right. But they are protesting against the military to tell them that now that you are now with the power, we thank you for having stabilized Mali. We thank you for declaring President Abubakar tenure being over, because he has been there for 8 good years. There is nothing no substantial development. Nothing has been successful into his administration. We are happy that now power is with you, but want you to take the power and hand over it to us. But the military is saying they are going to form a committee for the salvation of the people of Mali, and they are going to organize election in a due course, but they are not going to do it immediately. Why? The people are demanding for immediate organization of an election And even the regional bloc,
So the
ECOWAS.
citizen, Edward, hold on, Edward. The citizen are demanding an immediate conduct of election, but the military is saying elections will be held in due course and no date being announced so far.
Absolutely, no date has been announced. They have gone ahead to organize their council, headed by three important people. One was training to Russia, the current one that is heading the military council. Others were actually trained in France, and they are low-ranking officers. Most of the prominent army that we are pro IBK Abubakar Keita have actually been arrested. They are under detention, and those who are actually in support of the school have been given the privilege to join the government. Those who are military officers. Now, the controversy is between the opposition party, the civilians of the country, and the military. In fact, one opposition party member yesterday visited the military. After having a dialogue with them, he came and said he's no longer interested into politics. He's walking out because he have not sensed the feeling that the military are actually willing to give them the power that they are actually demanding. So it's like the opposition is going to come back again by asking both Abraham Abubakar Keita and their own supporters to come on the street against the military, because the military actually want to give power according to them, but they are not going to give power as
so
the way
Edward,
the people are seeing.
Edward, hold on, Edward. Again, folks, you are watching a special report here by Focus on Liberia on three major stories happening right now in Africa. We are now on this story about a coup d'etat that just took place in Mali. We have with us Mr. Edward Amara, our West African correspondent based in Freetown, Sierra Leone, who joined us in breaking this story down for us. So there was a military coup in Mali. The military is in charge now, but as we speak, the citizens are demanding that the military turn over power to civilians. They're demanding an immediate conduct of election, but the military are saying elections will be conducted in due course. Edward just reported here, one of the opposition leaders in Mali just met with the military in demand of an immediate conduct of election, but from his meeting with them, they are not willing to do so. And so he's like, he has like given up. But Edward, let me come back to you. You said there is a protest tomorrow. So the protest that is planned for tomorrow, the demand from the civilian is what? That the military conduct an immediate election, or what's the protest for?
In fact, they are even saying that the military should not be the people that should conduct the election in the first place.
Okay.
First, immediately they have taken over. Now, Abubakar Keita is not alive. We know the military is trained to protect and defend the country from external aggression to ensure that there is stability into the country. Thank God they are now with the power. So what they need to do, they have a council. That council should be free from every military affairs. But the three men leading the council now are military personnel. And the civilians are not interested into that, because that will give the military the urge to continue maintaining themselves into power. They want an immediate election to be conducted, but the military should return into their camps, into their barracks. Let them be where they were and allow the civilians to control the affairs of the country. They are claiming that the power should be given to civil activists, trade unionists, political parties, and religious leaders. Let them conduct the election. But the military should not be responsible to conduct, and they are demanding for an immediate release of power by the military. And the regional blocks like ECOWAS, AU, and UN are actually also international blocks. ECOWAS, AU, and UN, they're actually demanding that the military should hand over power to whosoever that is suitable into the country based on the Malians' demands. And they should go back to their barracks. Let a President Abraham Abubakar, the finance minister, the prime minister, all the key cabinet members that have been actually arrested and are in the custody of the military should be released unconditionally. That is the demand. And the military are not actually interested into this thing. So it's like, apart from seizure of power, there is still tension. The tension is still going to be mounted into Mali because of who is going to control the power. Now, yesterday nobody was known is in control, but now they have announced their council. So the announcement of the council is a clear indication that they do not have the intention to release power immediately as people are thinking.
So Edward, you are saying the military, hold on. You said the military has announced a council that will be a ruling council, and they are not willing at all to turn this thing over to a civilian authority to conduct the election, and that is the demand of the Malian citizens.
That is the demand of the Malian citizens. And that particular demand cannot be met immediately because they are giving summation like this. Mali is a kind of country that is plugged in political conflict. And the political conflict are not just civilians. It is armed conflict. They have Islamic State Union, and that is IC party to their country. They claim that the president is there, but the government has actually denied that. But they have Al-Qaeda, led by the Al-Qaeda that was once headed by the late man Osama bin Laden. The president is also fell into the country, and they have the Tuareg rebels into the country, and they are even afraid that if they can just take this power, hand over to the civilians, and allow civilians to be controlling the country under this particular state of affairs, those insurgent groups that are operating to the country can take advantage over the situation. In fact, the military per se is not organized on who to lead the country because there is a sub-faction into the military that took power, and those who have actually been arrested are prominent people who have been over the hem of affairs in the military of Mali. They also have their supporters, so there is a possibility that a coup can be even staged into another coup. So they are not just willing to give power. They are not just willing to give power.
Edward, in all the what in all this, what's the international community saying now? Have them been international condemnation from African body like ECOWAS and AU? And tell me what has the international condemnation been in this whole thing?
The reaction of the international community against the current situation in Mali has just been unanimous. Immediately, the military took over on the 18th. ECOWAS, this is the Economic Community of West Africa State, moved immediately to condemn the mutineers and called for an immediate release of Ibrahim Abubakar Keita and his prime minister, including the finance minister, even the speaker of the house, asked them to be given power to. That was what they said. And they said they close or if not, they ban all activities that is in connection with Mali, because they are saying that they do not recognize the present administration of Mali that is being headed by mutineers or the military people. But in fact, around 9 o'clock p.m., the military forced Ibrahim Abubakar Keita to make his resignation on state television, dissolving his parliament, and still up to now is in custody. So ECOWAS blocs are condemning. And we saw the United States through Pompeo, that is the Secretary of State, he condemned the act and asked for sanction to be leveled against Mali if they cannot hand over power. AU has actually condemned the act and they have placed economic sanction on Mali. But Mali per se, in her own wisdom, being controlled by the military, before this thing could be done, they even closed their international borders with all countries because it's a landlocked country. They closed their international borders with all countries and whatsoever airtime, and they allowed themselves, they stage curfew from 5 o'clock p.m. to 9 o'clock a.m. So all of these things are there. So the international community response have been unanimous on condemning the coup d'etat and asking for the mutineers to give power back to the civilians. But the civilians are saying,
Edward, on July the 11th, the plan that ECOWAS has submitted to the Malian authority was rejected, and even during that time, there was a protest. 11 persons were killed. Do you fear violence as you continue to be on this story? Do you fear violence in the very near future?
Violence is very near. It's very near because sensing the political situation in Mali, everybody thought that since the protest started with the civilian demanding for Abubakar Keita to leave, when the military come in, it is their responsibility to ensure that there is political stability into the country by actually allowing the wishes of the people to take place. And the wish of the people was actually for Abubakar Conte and his men to leave. And they are no longer in power. Now that they are with the power, I think the demand of the people is that give us our power, because power, the sovereignty belongs to the people. They have their power. The military is saying no. So the protest is in threefold. In fact, in fourfold, when you watch at it, Mali is already plugged in political crisis, fighting Islamic State Union, fighting Al-Qaeda, and fighting the Tuareg rebels that are in the Timbuktu region, that is the northern part of the country. That is a kind of state offense or state responsibility to ensure that they protect the stability of Mali, their peace and unity. Now, the military believe that power should be retained with them for the time being. The opposition, who has also been crying for, they actually want to ensure that they grab this power and this power remain to them. Why the civilian also want somebody who, sometimes the demand of the civilians may not necessarily even be the opposition leader per se, because the main opposition leader, Smiler, nobody knows his whereabouts, and nobody have actually come out publicly to to what? To confess that it is this section or it is this party or this is the type of ransom that they want. So on who to lead Mali, that is where we are expecting power. And my fear is that there is a high possibility that a coup d'etat might even take place within the military, because as long as they are not united on who to lead the country, a sub-faction of the military that have not actually been on the helm of affairs of Mali have taken over. These guys may be on apprehension, if not arrest, but they still have influence to instigate violence. So all of these things, so there is violence. Even tomorrow, who knows what may happen, because we know how sometimes the Kaki boys react. When these guys are on street and they are going to protest against them, so there's a possibility that we are going to hear about the serious strikers tomorrow.
Thank you. Our West African correspondent there, Edward Amara, based in Freetown, Sierra Leone, he has been giving a special report on the coup d'etat that just took place in Mali, that West African country. Mali was engulfed into a coup d'etat. The military took over, or they forced the president to resign, and he did resign, but actually it was a coup d'etat. Now, the situation is that the military is in charge of the country. The military has gone ahead and they were able to form a governing council. So these guys are entirely in charge. But the civilians, the citizens of Mali are saying, well, we supported you for making this president to resign or for carrying on this coup d'etat because we didn't want this guy to be in office in anyway. Now that you have done that piece of job, we want you to turn power over to a civilian rule. But the military is saying, no, we want to conduct an election, but in due course. And the civilians are saying, no, turn power over to a civilian authority that will conduct election and go back to the barracks where you belong. The military is not willing to do so. The opposition parties or leaders are getting frustrated with the military. Our fear is that some of them might even join the military, or Edward just reported here that there's a possibility that the very military may get divided. So there is a serious crisis that's on the verge to explode. We ask that the international community will do everything they can to prevent this violence from escalating. We don't want anything like that in Mali or in Africa. Folks, you are watching Focus on Liberia. My name is Anthony Sie, and we are on a special report on Africa, along with our West African correspondent, Mr. Edward Amara. Now, let's go to our next story, Edward. We are talking about Ivory Coast. Hold on, Edward. Ivory Coast and Guinea. Ouattara and his colleague in Guinea now seeking third term. What is going on here? Edward, break it all down for us.
That is another interesting part. Let's start first with the story of Ivory Coast.
Okay.
We all know how President Alassane Ouattara came to power. He came to power when the regional bloc, ECOWAS, AU, and others put pressure on the then president, Laurent Gbagbo, who has actually been arrested in some part of 2000. And he has been in custody till the International Criminal Court of Justice, that is ICC, deemed it necessary that he may have participated into the killing of Mali by what? Supporting his own armed forces to kill the civilians, but he did not do it alone. And some of the grievous crimes that we have been charged, that he was charged of, some of these crimes he had discharged, and the manner in which he could have served, he already took a long time into custody, over 10 years, and they released him. But Ouattara came into power when President Laurent Gbagbo lost the election in earlier 2003, and he refused to actually relinquish power. And a kind of protest, popular protest started against the opposition led by Alassane Ouattara, and the Laurent exhausted into the depth of thousands of people. A lot of the homes, properties were destroyed. Some people even fled to Liberia, Guinea, Burkina Faso, as the case may be. Now, this man came into power. We thought that he could be a Democrat who would have never decided to support the mentality of his predecessor, Laurent Gbagbo, who have already served his penalty into the International Criminal Court. And that particular court was set up to try leaders who may have committed dangerous crimes against their own people. That was why it was served. This man, after serving time, we were expecting President Alassane Ouattara, when the time of office expired, the best thing he could have done conduct election, and let the people have their power. And he should, because democracy is not actually against one party continuing to lead, but it is against an individual continuing to lead just because it is your party that is in power. Alassane Ouattara started very well. He said he's not going to contest the election. He appointed Koulibaly, who was his prime minister, to contest the election on his behalf. Unfortunately, Koulibaly had a cardiac attack. He died. When he died, Ouattara decided to contest the election because Koulibaly is no longer alive, because the man was attacked through a cardiac attack and he lost his life. That doesn't mean that there is no other qualified citizen in Ivory Coast to head the presidency. Now, he decided to contest the election, to run in for a third time after the manipulation of the constitution. Koulibaly is no longer alive. And people are actually planning for protest. Unfortunately, the incident in Mali may have some ramification on what will happen into Ivory Coast and Guinea, because it has already taken place over there. We have seen the civilian leading a successful protest against the president. The military have intervened. Ivory Coast is no longer different. So it's just a dangerous situation that Alassane Ouattara is playing with.
Edward, and we know that in order for that third term to be possible, there has to be a change to the constitution. I mean, has that been done?
That is slightly different in Ivory Coast.
Okay.
The constitution permitted him to do such thing. They have a clause into it, and they manipulated this clause before this time. But because of popular protest, he decided, okay, then I'm not going to contest. It is just like what happened in Guinea. After the amendment of the clause, we have never seen Alpha Conde, though we may come to that story, coming out publicly to accept the fact that he's going to contest. But the clause already been amended, activated, giving the president in power to contest for another election. That actually has been manipulated into Ivory Coast. But mean that people we are not actually in favor of Ouattara to continue to contest. So to appease the citizens of the country, he decided to appoint Koulibaly, that even though the constitution permits me to go in for another third time, okay, but I'm not going in for another third time. Let my prime minister contest. Now, the prime minister that he appointed to contest the election on his behalf is dead. He decided now to take in what he has been accused of. And now he said he's going to contest the election because the constitution permitted him. So have you seen?
But Edward, I was about to ask the question. When it started with the president of Guinea, the very Ouattara, he threw a jab at the president of Guinea, trying to make the point that really, are you trying to go for a third term in this, day and age, in the new dispensation? But here he is. He has gotten on the same path for which he criticized the president of Guinea.
Exactly. Ouattara is 78, Alpha Conde is 82. And you watch at our demography in Africa, we just have youth population whose mentality are no longer matching with the current leaders that we are having. So we don't think the same way, but we still allow them to lead us because even the youth are not of quality to lead the country. And most of them may not have they may have the mentality, the quality, but they are not financially strong. In politics in Africa, you need to have the popular support. You also have to have the monetary power to ensure that your interest is being felt. So we saw Ouattara was not actually in favor of what was going on into Guinea. And perhaps it is because by then he had the Prime Minister Koulibaly alive to contest the election. So condemning Alpha Conde by then could have been on the backdrop that Ouattara is already contesting this election, but he has already made up his mind for Ouattara to contest the election. But Ouattara is there, and they are still seeking the same path with what Alpha Conde is doing. And the difference between him and Alpha Conde is that Alpha Conde, the party has actually called upon him to lead the country into another election. But he has not come out publicly to accept it. And he has been accused of having a lot of manipulation on the electoral affairs in Guinea. Even the recent local council election that was being conducted, when the ruling party of Guinea lost the election, Alpha Conde came in. He nullified the entire result and still maintained those former councillors, city mayors, and district council chairperson that they actually did in the country to continue because the election was not in his favor. So it's already been accused. So by then, nobody knows that he had that intention, and he conducted the referendum under this particular COVID-19 smoke. He won everything. But Now the country has given him the mandate, his political party, go and contest it for it. He has never accepted it. He's still trying to beat about the boat. But Ouattara now, my prime minister is no longer alive. We have a fixed date of election to be conducted, and the party needs somebody to represent them. He thinks and feels that he's the only qualified citizen to contest it. And now the citizens are saying, we are not denying your party not to contest, but we are not going to allow you.
That is sad that that it is happening in this day and age that African president will be playing with the constitution in order to see third term. Folks, you are watching Focus on Liberia. We are having a special report here on West Africa. Now we are talking about the third term being sought by the president of Guinea and that of Ivory Coast. And we earlier reported on the coup that took place in Mali. If you missed that, you can watch the show after we end the broadcast here. With me is Edward Amara. He's our West African correspondent based in Freetown, Sierra Leone, and he's always on these stories. Edward, let me come back to you. Let's look at, do a comparative analysis here for me. In Guinea and Ivory Coast, the citizen, the civilian in majority, how are they feeling about this third term thing that these two presidents clearly are trying to seek in those countries? Are the citizen majority of them in support of that, or are they like, no, this shouldn't happen?
It's a mixed sentiment. Let's start with the case of Guinea.
Okay.
Guinea, we already have an established man in the form of Alpha Conde. Alpha Conde is leading a political party whose membership is highly made of the Mandinkas, and the Mandinkas could be like the Mandingo-speaking people. And Guinea is deeply divided politically. You have the Mandinkas, you have the Fulanis, and you have the Soso. But the Mandinkas are actually in the majority. And normally they support political party in Guinea based on tribal sentiment. So most of them actually want Alpha Conde to continue leading because he's a Mandinka. And they want a strong man to maintain the power of Guinea. And if they already have a Mandinka into power, then let him continue leading. So it was based on that on that background. He decided to manipulate the election because he has the some majority of the Guineans are supporting him. Then let me manipulate the election.
So is he from the ethnic group that is the most popular ethnic group?
No,
the largest ethnic group?
The Fulanis are the largest ethnic group in Guinea.
Okay, but do the Fulani support him in majority?
They do not support him. They are in the opposition. They already have their politics. Selun Diallo Toure, he's their own opposition leader, and Alpha Conde is the one that is actually from the Manikai group. So you are watching at it. It is politically there is tribal sentiment into the Guinean politics. And they actually are not willing. The Fulanis are not willing to allow a single party continue to lead them, especially with a notion to be in power, especially with the notion that most of his friendly appointees could be like people from his own tribe. So they are actually contesting the election. So when you watch at it, each time there is a demonstration into Guinea, there is always a clash between the pro and con of Alpha Conde. Because when the Fulanis are coming out, they believe that they are coming out against Alpha Conde. But the lay Mandinka man, or in the form of, I would call them in Liberia, Mandingo, they may believe that this protest is not only against Alpha Conde, but it is against we the Mandingo. So they are definitely going to come out. So that is how the crisis is there. But the constitution has actually banned them. And everybody, there are some people within even the ruling party that are actually fed up with the situation. And instigation are actually going on to see how they may manage to unseat Alpha Conde. We are just praying that.
Yeah, sorry, I was just saying, let's come to Ivory Coast. Is that similar to that of the Ivory Coast? What's his name? Ouattara. The ethnic group that he's from, is that the largest ethnic group? I mean, what is the support that he's getting from the citizens?
Exactly. Even in Ivory Coast, there is some similarity like that. In Africa, it's the same thing. It's just a kind of, they have a type of connection. You watch at Ouattara. Ouattara is a Muslim. Okay. Over there, it's more of religious basis. Ouattara is a Muslim, and they have other Christians into the country. It is just like when you watch at the situation in Nigeria, they may not allow one religious person from a particular religion to continue leading the country. There is a possibility that he may plug the country to another religious chaos. That is why Ivory Coast and places like Burkina Faso are actually being affected by religious sentiment and evolving into this attack of Islamic State Union. You talk about Daesh, and even talk about the tribe rebels and other people that are actually attacking them. And it's the same thing that is happening in Nigeria. So the situation in Ivory Coast here is similar to that. Ouattara, as a Muslim, want to continue leading the country and to appoint most of his brothers who are coming from the north. The people are naturally willing for them. They are willing to contest the election on a free and fair basis. But then we are having a notion that, being that this man came into power when his predecessor, Laurent Gbagbo, refused to drop the power after he had lost the election. They thought that he would have been a good replica instead of setting an example. But unfortunately, he has already become a replica, if not a photocopy of Laurent Gbagbo. And Laurent Gbagbo has even wanted to come and contest the election. But after the ICC released him, that he has the right to come. So his party, the ICJ, decided that they even want to make him as the flag bearer of the party.
So Edward.
So the Supreme Court in Ivory Coast said, no, that man may have been released by the ICC, but we are not going to allow him come back into this country to participate into any of our election. So they appointed another person into the party to run for the presidency.
So Edward, what is the predominant religion there in Ivory Coast?
The Muslim.
The Muslim. And Ouattara is a Muslim, right?
It's a Muslim.
From your following of these things, do you know whether the people have been voting on religious line for the most part?
Religious lines, it doesn't count a lot.
Okay.
It doesn't really count a lot.
Okay.
But normally, they believe into certain sentiment that one denomination, if not religious, shouldn't continue to be leading the country. At least let there be variation. So any attempt, and this man, Ouattara, has actually sensed the religious sentiment. Okay. Because the other time I was really starting about them, most of his political appointees are Muslims, and there are people hailing from his own tribe. So all of these things are there. So should they continue, they believe that Ivory Coast is a secular state, and it's not actually should not be plugged with nepotism, tribalism, favoritism, and sectionalism. But all of these things are actually found in the Ouattara-led government. Most of his appointees are Muslims. Most of the people that are serving to his cabinet are from the north, where his own tribe is coming from. And most of those people that are just friendly with him, and the opposition have little or no say into this system. So what they are now saying, they are not against Ouattara contesting, the party of Ouattara contesting the election, but his own mandate has expired. Let another person come and contest the election. The president is saying, yes, we had already arranged that, but unfortunately within this particular duration, I lost a candidate that would have contested the election. So I'm going to automatically replace the candidate. And watching at the status quo of it, the ruling party, in their own wisdom, went ahead and approved Ouattara. And now today he has a symbol and whatsoever thing and willing to contest the election.
So and they are willing to come unlike Guinea, Edward, in the Ivory Coast, there's a set day for the election, and it is clear that Ouattara is on the ballot.
Yes, but even in Guinea, I think Guinea election will be contested in around 15 October. If I'm not lying, I will cross-check that then. But in October, around the 15th October, Guinea election is going to be contested.
So let's come back to Guinea. Now, let's come back to Guinea, Edward. Yeah. Is it the same accusation that some citizens or some opposition people are labeling against the president of Guinea, that he's only appointing people from his ethnic group or people from the region he's from? Do you see any, or do you hear anything about that there?
In fact, Guinea, that is a third phenomenon.
Okay.
When you enter there, it's a third phenomenon. Guinea has actually been living into that tribal, religious, and sentiment that is actually infected in Guinea. We all know Guinea to be a country that has the dominant religion in Guinea they are the Muslims. 95% of Guineans are actually Muslims. They all have other few tribes over there that are actually Christians, like the Kisis. You talk about the Peles and others. They may be associated in one or two way with Muslim, but most of the Guineans are Muslim. And the Fulanis and the Manigas that we are talking about here, 99.9% of them are actually Muslims. So what they are saying here, they are not sympathizing, if not encouraging the idea for Alpha Conde to continue contesting the election. they want another person to come in to contest the election. And if that party is going to appoint any other person, trust me, he's only going to be a Mandinka, who is definitely a Muslim. And the opposition now, led by Diallo, if they are going to appoint another person, it's only going to be a Muslim who is also a flag. So in Guinea, it's more of a tribal sentiment. They do not want the Mandinkas, if not the Maningo, to continue contesting for election into Guinea. And the Fula are actually in the majority. Because of their majority, they want to use this and crown over power into Guinea. They're actually in the majority. But if Alpha Conde can be allowed to contest the election because he's an incumbent, he already have the power to take over everything because he has the influence. He may even manipulate the electoral process as he has done in the referendum, in the local council election that was being conducted. The opposition is just less powerless. And Guinea is more of a militant country compared to Ivory Coast. In Guinea, you feed the military into power, and they ensure that they stay somebody
who dominated the military in Guinea, Edward, if you know that, who dominated the military?
I think except now because of one or two things, but before this time it was the Susu that actually dominated the Muslim, because Lansana Conte, who was in power, was actually the Susu. And the best way to maintain power into Guinea is to ensure that you have the power of the military, and they will go ahead to appoint most of their brothers. And in doing so, you have large section part of the country who are actually they may also be involved into military. They may dominate the military when it comes to statistical accounts. Other tribes, a combination of other tribes compared to the Sikusuku tribe, the other tribes may dominate the military. But those factions that may be headed by the tribes or the tribesmen of the president may be highly intelligent, militarily equipped, and with sophisticated weapons. So the general military may be there, but they are not intelligent and they are not sophisticated with weapons, and they may not take on any formidable, well-structured force like that. But in time of coup d'etat, you cannot even expect those that are highly placed, well intelligent, with all sorts of equipment to take over. So in Guinea, even when Alpha Lansana Conte died, we saw a man from the Belews who is Daddy's camera coming. Nobody thought that he would have come to take power because he's from a less fashion, from the infantry unit, less fashion, less sophisticated and less influential. But because they're already sympathizing with the president in power, they have no intention to go and take power. So somebody from the unknown or from somebody from the blues will just come and take over power.
And Edward, I was just about to ask, you said the Fulani makes the largest ethnic group in Guinea. Has there been a time a Fulani has served as president in that country, in Guinea?
No. They haven't served as president. That is one thing. They haven't served as president. You see, like let us just say you talk about Samuel Ture was a Mandinka, a Maningu. You talk about Sheku Ture was a Maningu. Then you talk about, because the Ture, that is just their lineage. Then you talk about this Lansana Contea, he was a Soso. And this other man who came in, who is Alpha Conde, is a Mandinka. However, the Fulanis have actually served in the position of a prime minister. And under administration, we expect the prime minister to be very authoritative. He should have some amount of control over what goes on into parliament, especially what the executive branch of government decide. But in places like Guinea, where the president have exercised a lot of control over the power, the prime minister may be there. He may be from another ethnic group, but you are powerless.
Edward, given all that you just reported, I want to hear from you. How are people reacting to these three stories that we are talking about here in Sierra Leone? We're talking about the coup d'etat that just took place in Mali. Alpha Conde is trying to, not trying, he's seeking a third term. Also in Ivory Coast, the president there is seeking a third term. How are ordinary Sierra Leoneans reacting to these stories?
Well, the only story that may be touching to ordinary Sierra Leoneans is the one that is Guinea, because we share border in Guinea. Okay. Most of our economic activities is actually from Guinea. So if the political crisis in Guinea, it does affect Sierra Leone. So each time, because it is only because of the COVID-19, but I think most of our immediate international trading is done actually in Guinea, because Guinea has a well-established economy compared to Sierra Leone and Liberia. Before this time, Liberia used to have a very stable and strong economy, but because of the war that took place, everything had been ravaged. When you come to Sierra Leone, our economy was also a little bit strong, not compared to that of Liberia, something like that. But unfortunately, because of the war, everything have just come to a standstill. The Ebola that took place, everything has just come to a standstill. But Guinea actually tasted some amount of war in the early 2000s, but their war did not affect the entire country, and the rebels were conquered and flushed out of the country. So they have a very stable economy, and their market system is flourishing over there. And most Sierra Leoneans who are actually traders, they depend on Guinea because that is our immediate neighbor to go and buy goods over there. So each time there is a political crisis in Guinea, even when there is a simple demonstration in Guinea, it affects our life ordinarily here in Sierra Leone because we may not depend on Freetown alone to go and buy our goods. We depend on Guinea because that is where they serve as our immediate market. And even watch at the border, Guinea surrounds Sierra Leone and Liberia. Especially in Sierra Leone, it almost surrounds us. So you come into the north, we share border with Guinea. You go into the east, we share border into Guinea. So all of these places are there. So from Freetown also, you can take another flight there, you get into Guinea. So all our goods are coming actually from Guinea. We depend on them for all our services. So the ordinary Sierra Leoneans, the tension in Guinea, each time there is a negative political tension in Guinea, it is felt on the market here. Our prices of goods and services are definitely going to go up. So each time there's a political crisis in Guinea, we expect, especially the NRU, that is the Mano River Union, where we have Liberia, we have Guinea, we have Ivory Coast, and Sierra Leone coming in together. We may actually expect them to sort the issue out immediately because at the end of the day, when boundaries, if not borders, are closed with us, it affects Liberians, it affects Sierra Leoneans. But in places like Mali, we only believe in listening to news and see what is going on over there. Sometimes if there is a political crisis into Ivory Coast, it is going to affect Liberians directly rather than Sierra Leoneans because Liberia share border with Ivory Coast, and there is a possibility that there is a trade between Liberia and Sierra Leone. And especially the pellets are found into Ivory Coast, they are also found into Guinea. So there is that tribal sentiment. So even in Guinea here, when you watch at especially like the east, where they have the share border with Kaila on this street, you have a particular tribe over there like the Kisis. They are found into Guinea, they are found into Liberia, they are found into Sierra Leone. So immediately there is a political crisis, the usual communication in terms of interaction with the citizens, all is going to be cut down. So the tension is actually fed on us on that way.
Focus on Liberia here. We are having a special report on Africa. Mr. Edward Amara is our West African correspondent based in Freetown, Sierra Leone, and he has been reporting and I have been questioning on the stories, the coup d'etat in Mali, the president of Guinea seeking a third term, as well as the president of the Ivory Coast. Edward, what we have not heard here at Focus on Liberia, we've been trying to pay attention to follow these things. Most of the African leaders are quiet about the third term being sought by these two leaders, and they are more like silent on this coup d'etat that just took place in Mali. This is profound. Have you heard anything from some of our African leaders? What is your president, Marabio, saying? My president, we have not heard anything. What is going on with these African leaders?
Yeah, that is very interesting. I think condemnation is coming in the form of block instead of individual. AU may condemn, it means Africa. ECOWAS may condemn, it means West Africa. MRE may condemn, it means like Liberia, Sierra Leone, Guinea, and the Ivory Coast. SADC, that is the South Africa Union. That is it. When SADC condemn the coup, it means the Southern African countries condemn it. But we haven't seen any individual leader who may come out publicly to condemn the coup by saying that what the military in Mali has done is wrong. They should get back to the barracks and President Ibrahim Abubakar should be restored into power. That has never actually come out as an individual. However, we have seen places like America use through their president, their state secretary, as they call it, their foreign affairs minister, have condemned the coup. We have seen Emmanuel Macron of France condemning the coup, but we have not yet seen an individual African president who may not use any of the international regional bloc to condemn the coup d'etat on his or her own. That is yet to be seen. And even in the development now, what is so something is strange is happening actually into Guinea. As per the 15 hours GMT focus that I listened to, normalcy have actually returned into Mali. The military have given the audacity for each and every civilian to return to his or her own domestic work. If you're a government worker, a civil servant, a public civil servant, get back to your work. If you are an entrepreneur, if not trying to conduct private into Mali, go and do your work. And they have strictly warned the military personnel not to involve into any extra military activities. At the same time, anybody is caught looting is definitely going to be punished, and the opposition is sympathizing with this. So all of this thing may give you the sentiment that the military, because the people are celebrating them, they may not want to make the country develop a kind of shadow as if something is actually wrong into the country. Now they want to have that normalcy of life, and it's actually returned. But there is a high possibility that that is only going to last a little while, because when negotiation fail on when to give power, when election is to be conducted, and how election is to be conducted, and who are going to conduct the election, we're expecting violence to actually come in. And don't doubt it, if one of those guys who are actually taking over power, they are already young, dynamic, educated, and well sophisticated. One of them may easily try to send out the khaki, the uniform on them, and say that I'm going to contest the election. And that is normally, that is how it results in, because when they take power, they will actually condemn what they have seen into the civilian president. But when they come into power, after tasting power, they may definitely not want to leave. If you force them to leave, one will say, okay, I'm going to contest as the president today, I resign. And because of the influence they have, they will do all the paperwork and will definitely become a candidate. They can use their military influence to get it.
Thank you. Edward Amara there, based in Freetown, Sierra Leone. He is focused on Liberia, West African correspondent. He has been reporting, analyzing, and breaking three major stories taking place there in Africa. The coup d'etat in Guinea, in Mali, and the president of Guinea and Ivory Coast trying to seek their term. Let me read a few comments. Edward, will you respond? And then we will close down the broadcast. Gadwa Trench Core writes, play Liberian music, man. That person is reacting to the music I played earlier. We are doing a report on Africa, so I thought to play a music from Africa. But I take that. We will try our best to play Liberian music for the most part. And this person writes again, focus on Liberia should be everything Liberia, even music. That's what we try to do here. We are everything Liberia. Double Helena Bese Jala. Good morning, my dear brother. Jimmy Eastman is watching from Washington. Jimmy Eastman is we'll call him an affiliate here at Focus on Liberia. He has a comment here. Are there international players supporting the insurrection as such as France and Russia? Is there Boko Haram present in that country? Edward, please take note of those comments so you can respond to them. I hope you have a pen there. Jimmy again, is the constitution suspended? Does the coup d'etat undermine the democratic process? Edward, please take note. Jimmy Ismail again, to coerce the military to turn over power to the civilians, they have to boycott work. This one from John Mawo. I hope I'm pronouncing your last name right. Problem just started. My country, Liberia, can relate. Jimmy again with the other one has Kone Asami or Gota addressed France's condemnation of the coup. Edward, take note of that. Jimmy again, does President Hassan Ouattara have the constitutional backing to run for a third term? I think Amara addressed that. That is a clause in the constitution that gives the president the authority to maneuver there, and I think that's what he has done. Jimmy again with the ones West Africa, the French West Africa is in turmoil once again, thus making minerals vulnerable to exploitation. He's talking about the section of Africa that is French speaking is in turmoil, thereby making minerals vulnerable for exploitation. Stephen Bobby Dawe writes, I'm watching from Monrovia, Liberia. Hey, thank you for watching all the way there. Jimmy Ismail again. Conte insisted on forging ahead despite the COVID-19 pandemic. And on March 22nd, the referendum was marred by violence that resulted in several deaths. Jimmy again, Ouattara is a Burkinabe. He's making that point there. That's why people accuse him of. My man Joseph Jackson is watching. He said, let the man learn his point. Okay, Joe, thank you, Mr. C. Please allow the man to learn his point. That means my man Joseph Jackson here is enjoying your deliberation or your report here. Raymond Oliver Hogger, he's my brother-in-law, watching the program. Good show, shit. Oh, Mr. Hogger, thank you for the compliment, but you're my brother-in-law. You can't criticize me anyway. Thank you, though. Edward, you just listened to a few comments there, and we have the man Chester Smith, a guy who always share information with us here at Focus on Liberia. He's also watching. Hey, Chester, you need to come and focus on Liberia one of these days, man, so that you can do some analysis for us, especially during the political season in Liberia. Focus on Liberia, answering here your whole special report on Africa. Our West African correspondent, Edward Amara, is comfortably seated. Edward, you just listen to the comments, your response. There was questions there too.
Yeah, thank you very much. I could remember some of those questions. One, I don't think whether Abubakar Keita, while he was in power, he ever accused any foreign power that is actually supporting the coup d'etat. Rather, he was only accusing the opposition wanting to use the frustration of the national populace to unseat it into power. And France was actually calling for peace. The region and bloc ECOWAS involved into it. AU also sent her own person to ensure that they do negotiation. So throughout those things, nobody accused France or Russia that they are the brain behind the protest, because no opposition leader identified themselves in one of these blocks and or the powers. And the civilians per se, this thing was organized by trade unionists, talk about religious leaders, especially there's a kind of prominent religious leader who is in Guinea. Who is in Mali, excuse me. He has actually influence over what goes on in Guinea. In Mali. It's just like in places like DRC. If the Catholic throw their weight behind, you are definitely going to come into power. So even in Guinea, when you have prominent religious leader like that Mohammed man going against you, it means your time of office is but expired. So when he went against, everybody knew that something was actually going on. And so there was nobody who is actually a foreign power that actually supported the protest. Rather, everything started with the civilians, and they use it against IBK to ensure that let him leave. And now we saw the military coming in. Then another thing is that actually the coup d'etat undermined democracy, because sovereignty actually lies with the people. And you are entrusted with the people's power to ensure that you act on them, on the power constructively in the interest of the people. You sign a social contract with them. So if you fail into your social contract, the people are bound to come out or ask you to leave. And that was what they asked IBK or Abubakar Conte to leave. He refused. Abubakar Keita, Ibrahim Abubakar Keita to leave. He refused. And the military they saw that moral responsibility to come in to ensure that let there be stability. If it were not for the involvement of the military, perhaps tensions would have escalated. And there could have been a possibility that the faction of the military who are actually pro-IBK would have been used against the demonstrators. That's what is about to happen in Belarus. When we are seeing Lukashenko asking the internal minister to ensure that there is stability into Belarus. He have already sent out tanks and other things on the street. And in so doing, it is definitely going to be against the civilian. But in the case of Mali, we never saw anything like that. The military have been quietly seated. The police were on top of situation, controlling the crowd. But yet it resulted into violence. So the military only came into interplay when they realized that situations were actually loose. Heaven was actually loose in Mali. And they have insurgents group into Mali, like the Trial Rebels, they have Al-Qaeda operating to and other subsections into the country. If they do not come over and assert control over the power, any other thing could have definitely been taken. So that is it. Democracies actually have been undermined, because now what is going on into Guinea is no longer democracy. And indeed, he asked if the constitution have been suspended. That is practically right, because each time the military take over, what we normally see, they will declare the constitution null and void for the time being, and they rule by decree. They will lock the border and ensure that they control the activity. In fact, I listened yesterday on 12 midday, BBC World News. I had an opposition leader that was being interviewed. You could see the intimidating voice from the opposition leader, because you cannot come out publicly to condemn a military who do not believe into the constitution.
Right.
And you can easily be arrested, tortured, detained under this particular atmosphere. So we are seeing some social rebels into the country who may serve as civil activists. But even the way that we condemn it will be quite different, like what happened under IBK. IBK was a civilian. The military never supported him. And the protest was not against the military, it was against IBK. So let us say the civilians had the voice, they have the audacity, they have that urge or even that personal strength and moral motivation to go and confront them. But in this situation now, if you are coming out on the street, you should know who exactly you are going to take on. And if you are taking on the military, remember they have state instruments. And when they feel that their presence is being threatened, they can use anything against you.
All right. Edward Amara there, a West African correspondent based in Freetown, Sierra Leone. Folks, we have been on this special report on West Africa, the coup d'etat that just took place in Mali, the president of Guinea and Ivory Coast seeking third term. We are now at the close of our broadcast. Edward, what I want you to do now, in 1 minute, please give update on how things stand now. How are things now with the coup? How are things now with the third term thing in Guinea and the Ivory Coast?
In Guinea, we are still baffled over Alpha Conde takes, whether he will contest the election or not. A proposal has been made to him. He said he's going to comment on it. And elections are set for October the 15th. So we don't know who is actually going to lead the ruling party into that particular election. And that because Alassane Ouattara says he's going to contest the election because the Prime Minister Koulibaly, who was about to contest the election on behalf of the ruling party, is dead today. He lost his life through a cardiac attack. And people are saying he is a Burkinabe, he needs to go and the protest is actually there is a kind of planned protest against the president. In Mali, after the coup d'etat, normalcy have returned to the country. The military have asked everybody to go back to his or her own normal duties, and they are going to ensure that they form a kind of council that they may contest. They are going to conduct election in due course, wherein the civilians and the political parties, that the opposition, who are actually yet fragmented, they are demanding that the military to hand over power immediately. So tomorrow, there's a high possibility that protest is going to be into Guinea, into Mali. There's already a planned protest. We may not know what may occur and how the military is going to react upon the planned protest by the civilian. And the civilians are saying, let them just give us our power. We are going to do everything on our own. They should go back to their barracks.
All right, folks, we want to say thank you to our West African correspondent, Edward Amara, for his excellent reporting and analysis on these top 3 stories happening in West Africa. That is the coup in Mali, the third term being sought by the president of Guinea and the Ivory Coast. Yeah, I focus on Liberia. We educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia, but we also try to elevate the issues that are happening in West Africa and Africa as a whole. My name is Anthony C.A. And to close, this is what I have for you. What have we learned from coup d'etat as a country? What have we learned from coup d'etat as a continent? Bloodshed, political mystery, economic paralyzation, mayhems on our people. Coup d'etat and violence have plunged most African countries into civil war. Liberia is an example. And so, yeah, I focus on Liberia. We want to use the opportunity to condemn the coup d'etat that has taken place in Mali. We also want to condemn the third term being sought by the president of Guinea and that of the Ivory Coast. Those attempts are unacceptable. Those usually serve as sources of conflict, and we know who bears the brunt of such conflict: the ordinary people. I think the citizens of Mali are clear that the military should turn power over to a civilian authority to conduct the election. The wishes of the people aspiration, the people demand must be listened to by the military. Let that African country survive this senseless violence. The people of Mali deserve better. And to the people of Guinea, to that president, stop playing this political game. We know how this game usually ends. To the president of Ivory Coast as well, stop. You have had an opportunity to serve your people for 2 terms. You are not the only citizen who should enjoy that privilege to serve as president. And let this also be a warning to all African leaders that when you have your term to serve and when your term is over, you need to turn power over. And even when the people ask you to leave because maybe you're not doing well enough, the very people that ask you to leave, if they are asking you to leave, it's best for you to turn power over. We wish Africa the best. We want to be stable. We want Africa to be able to develop. We hope that the leaders of Africa will not be silent on these things that are happening. They need to rise up and speak against these things. But because they themselves are reserving these kind of tactics as their third option, they are mute on it. And we think that is unacceptable by African leaders for them being mute on these things that are happening in Africa. I focus on Liberia. We remain the #1 platform in terms of responsible conversation. Like our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube channel. This weekend, we are having a lot of shows. Man Jabate will be here on Saturday around noon Eastern time. That will be 4 p.m. Liberian time, and he will be answering the tough questions. And then Saturday at 7 p.m., we'll be having a debate. The man Obe appeared on the platform and he asked us to organize a debate on governance issue. He said, give me a debate on governance issue with anybody. That's what he said when he was on our show. And we got him somebody, but he's trying to escape that debate. It is his right to escape the debate and become an escapee of a debate. That is his right. But that debate will continue. And the person who is debating Obe will be able to debate Obe in his absence. Obe has been clear with his language on governance issue. We all know where he stands, and so that person will use his words to debate him. Follow Focus on Liberia for updates on all the events that are happening in Liberia. Like our Facebook page, again, subscribe to our YouTube channel. All our shows are there for you to benefit from. We want to say thank you, Edward, for that excellent report. We hope you enjoy your stay there in Freetown, Leone. Spend good time with your family. COVID-19 is still real, Edward. I know some people in Liberia and Sierra Leone think that that thing is not real, and that the government is trying to use that to get some money, but that thing is real. It's killing people. On that note, we are saying to you here at Focus on Liberia, bye-bye.
We are Liberia. Liberia is our home. Liberia people. USA all we want. Liberia, oh. USA all we want. Liberia, Liberia.